You are reading these words right now. But did you choose to read them? Or were you always going to read them? Determined by the neurons firing in your brain. Shaped by genetics. By everything that happened to you before this moment? This is the hard problem of free will. And it cuts right to the heart of what it means to be a person. Here is the standard scientific picture of the universe. Every physical event is caused by prior physical events. Your brain is physical. Therefore, every thought you have, every decision, every feeling, every choice, is the inevitable result of prior physical causes stretching back to the Big Bang. There is no room in this picture for a self that stands outside the causal chain and chooses. You are, on this view, a very complicated domino. Hard determinists accept this conclusion. They say free will is an illusion. We feel like we are choosing. But this feeling is itself just another physical event caused by prior physical events. The neuroscientist Benjamin Libet famously showed that brain activity associated with a voluntary movement begins several hundred milliseconds before people consciously decide to move. Your brain decides. Your consciousness takes credit. But most philosophers are not hard determinists. They are compatibilists. People who think free will and determinism are perfectly compatible. The key move is to redefine what free will means. You are free, they say, not when you act uncaused, but when you act from your own desires and reasons. Without external compulsion, a person acting under threat is unfree. A person deliberating and acting on their values is free, even if that deliberation was itself determined. David Hume made this argument beautifully. What we care about in freedom is not some mysterious exemption from causation. We care about whether our actions flow from who we are, from our character, our values, our reasoning, rather than from coercion, addiction, or compulsion. On this view, the opposite of freedom is not determinism. The opposite of freedom is constraint. But critics push back hard. They say compatibilism changes the subject. The question was whether you could have done otherwise. Whether, given exactly the same brain state and exactly the same universe, a different choice was possible. Compatibilism says nothing about this. It just tells you that your determined actions feel like yours. That might be true, but it does not answer the original question. There is a third view. Libertarian free will. Not libertarian in the political sense, but in the metaphysical sense. On this view, some of our actions genuinely are not determined by prior causes. We are agents who can initiate causal chains. The challenge is explaining how. Where does this undetermined choice come from? Some appeal to quantum indeterminacy in the brain. But randomness is not freedom. A choice made by a quantum dice roll is not more free. It is just more random. Here is where the problem gets truly hard. Whatever free will turns out to be, it seems connected to consciousness. Only conscious beings seem to have anything like will. A thermostat does not choose to turn on the heat. But we do not know what consciousness is. We do not know why there is something it is like to be us. And we do not know whether consciousness plays a causal role in our actions, or whether it is a passive observer. What philosophers call an epiphenomenon. The stakes here are not purely academic. Our entire system of moral responsibility, praise, blame, punishment, reward, presupposes that people could have done otherwise. If hard determinism is true, what does it mean to punish someone for a crime they could not have avoided committing? Some philosophers argue for a forward-looking view. We punish not because people deserve it in some cosmic sense, but because punishment and praise shape future behavior. Others argue that without genuine freedom, our deepest intuitions about justice collapse. Here is what we can say. The hard problem of free will is not a problem we have solved. Compatibilism is philosophically sophisticated, but it does not fully satisfy the intuition that something real is at stake. Hard determinism is consistent but deeply unsettling. And libertarian free will faces the randomness problem. What we are left with is the strange situation of beings who cannot help deliberating, who cannot help feeling that their choices matter, even as we wonder whether that feeling is itself just the universe unfolding as it must. Perhaps the most honest answer is that we do not yet know what we are.